All right, guys, let's get this thing rolling. Gonna get this thing rolling real quick. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to live streaming. I am actually back home in Miami now, so that is exactly where I'm at, actually. Hold on, guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna answer this really quick. So what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It has been a couple of days since I have live streamed, but I am back. I'm back in Miami. First of all, I will be trying to stream as much as I can. I am actually a little bit busier around here sometimes, and I got a lot of work to do, but I will definitely be keeping up with the channel. The past couple of days, let me know in the chat if you guys get your notifications, because I've noticed the past couple of days a significantly less amount of people are seeing the videos. I don't know if I did something wrong with the thumbnails, because I changed the background to be darker, and I realized ever since then the views on average have been kind of weird. So I might actually I might be changing in the way I do them. I'm not exactly sure. I may be changing the way I do the thumbnails, just because once I kind of made the background darker, it did kind of lower the click rate for some reason, which I thought it would actually be better, but I guess it's not. So I'm more than likely going to be kind of editing the thumbnail style again. So if you guys are in here, I see there's about 16 of you guys. So you guys are in here, make sure to hit the like button so we can kind of get the algorithm recognizing it. I know not everyone's going to like the video, even though you should. But make sure, guys, if you guys are in here, please like the button. Please do not ghost watch the videos. I would greatly appreciate, even if you're not going to watch the full video, please make sure that you at least hit the like button. At least do that. I would greatly appreciate it. And so, you know, right now Trump is surging. It's quite funny that, you know, they were talking about a Biden surge and stuff like that, and really all that really was happening was the aggregate was kind of correcting itself for the most part. It was getting closer. Yes, it did go from a 5-point lead all the way down to almost a tied lead, but Trump is going back up, and all really Biden is doing, Biden was just kind of eating up a lot of Kennedy support and some of the third-party support, but they're actually going back up. Funny enough, Kennedy has gone from 7.9% to 10.6%, and this was on April 18th. Now, what was on April 18th? I'm actually curious to see what happened on that day, because clearly something changed around that time. So let's actually see what happened since April 18th. I'm actually curious. Let's look at the headlines. Okay, so we had the Senate dismiss impeachment trials against Mayorkas without a trial. We did have that. I guess it might just be the fact that the trial is going on and people finally, they started polling the right people or something, and now the aggregate's kind of finally catching up. Like, maybe that's what it is, because Biden peaked at about 40% ish, and now both of them are going down. Trump has actually gone down to 40. Now he's back up at like 41, but Biden's gone down to 39.3%. He's actually gone down quite a bit, which is pretty interesting. And so, guys, if you are in here, I see that there's 29 of you guys and there's 16 likes. Guys, if you haven't liked the video, please like it, because it actually does. Like, if it shows like there's 29 concurrent viewers and there's like the same amount of likes, it kind of boosts the algorithm with it. So if you guys can, just hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate it. That's all I ask for. I don't even ask for super chats or anything like that, which I will actually be setting up a Cash App at some point, because the thing is, when you guys do send a super chat, I do appreciate the super chats. However, I don't get them till the next month, if you understand what I'm saying, because the way YouTube works. So I will probably end up setting up like a Cash App type thing where you guys can just kind of, if you are gonna, you know, super chat, you could super chat like $1 or something, or like super chat how many, like super chat basically like as to how many characters you want, and then like send the rest to my Cash App or something like that. So that's pretty much it. Hello, Boom Politics. I did see your Discord. I did see your Discord message, but you gotta understand, man. I get that you're just starting out, but at the same time, you gotta keep posting content. I can't just collab with anybody random. I'm not doing that. I can't collab with any randoms per se, and I understand I was once in that position too, but my first video did 11,000 views. So, and I was able to grow very quickly. So that's why I was kind of able to get myself out of the beginner spot really fast. A lot of these people, you know, who kind of do this, they started out about, you know, they started a couple years back, and I passed a bunch of people very quickly. Like, there's some people who have like 2,000 subscribers who've been doing this for 4 years, and I passed them in 3-4 weeks. Now, again, I do upload more often. I post every single day, but clearly there's a differentiation in it. So just keep posting content, and if you do at least get to like 500 subs, I'll think about it. So I'm being fair. So if you get to about 500 subs, you can DM me. I could even try to help you. I mean, I could try to like help you with your setup or whatever, like, you know, suggest like what kind of mic you need or how to set up your OBS. Like, I'll help you, but I'm not gonna give you a collab just right out the gate. That's the only thing I ask. And I'm just being honest, because I don't like being that type of person that's like, oh yeah, I'll give you the collab or whatever. Like, you know, when those people, like, it's like you want to do something with somebody and they clearly don't want to do it with you because they think they're better than you or something, and then they're just like, oh, I'm not going to do that with him. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to be that type of person, so I'm just being very honest with you about it. So if you do want to collab, just keep posting every day. Make sure when you do your OBS setup that just make sure that it is 1080p. So when you do your OBS setup, make sure it's a 1080p setup. Make sure that you have a clear mic. So like my mic right now, I actually haven't even gotten a professional mic. My internal mic on my Mac is pretty good. However, when I hit like 10K, I probably will end up getting a good mic. I wanted to wait a while to like really start investing. Like once I pass 10,000, I'm definitely going to start investing into more equipment and stuff like that. To be honest, you should try and collab with one of the bigger guys like Ready Go. I mean, I talked to Ready Go. Ready Go is my friend, and I believe at some point when we get closer to the election cycle, probably at some point during the summer, we will end up doing like a collab stream. We more than likely will, so you will be seeing that at some point. But right now, like, I'm collabing with Gold Crown Politics. I'm collaborating with Retaking the Nation, which is actually the person who really kind of got me in the footing in the first place. If we actually go look at his stuff, Retaking the Nation, you could see here he's only at like 589 subscribers, but he hadn't been posting content for like a really long time because he got pretty busy. But he's pretty good, guys. Like, he was somebody that I started watching a while back, even before I started, like 5 months ago, like was, you know what, like 2 months before January, and I started on January 6th or the 7th again. And I started watching him right before that, and so he's pretty good, and he's gonna start posting more content daily. So I am gonna be streaming with him, and we're gonna get him up to where he needs to be. So if you guys are watching this, make sure to subscribe to him. Like, don't even leave the stream, just open up another tab and subscribe to him, because he's really good at what he does too. So make sure to go ahead and do subscribe, because I think he does deserve it. He just hasn't been posting content, but now that I completely surpassed him out of the water, I am gonna be helping him as much as I possibly can. So that's pretty much it. But today, guys, you know, I did a video on the CNN poll and kind of like how that would look like on the electoral map. But Harvard-Harris actually dropped a new poll where Trump is up by 6 points with a three-way matchup. So not even that far off from the CNN poll. And Trump in this scenario was up by 4 points in the last month's poll. Now he gained 2 points. So he's going up. It's not like he's going down. He's going up with these new polls. And it seems like to me that most of the GOP votes for Trump. He's winning independents by like 11 against Biden. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is getting like a significant amount of independents. He's getting like 22% without leaners. Cornel West gets like 3. Jill Stein gets 0. And you can see, guys, look at this. Democrats, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Cornel West, and Jill Stein are all getting slightly more Democratic support than Republican support. The only one who kind of matches is Jill Stein, and that's because she is a universal kind of candidate in a way. And yes, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is taking some support from Trump, but he's taking more from Biden at the end of the day. Unlike, Let's Talk Elections likes to claim that for whatever reason he ends up getting, he thinks that RFK is going to hurt Trump in the general, which I don't really think makes a lot of sense. And I think he's interpreting Trump attacking RFK in the wrong way. I think what Trump is trying to do is kind of getting those more like people that are MAGA that want to vote for RFK to be like, oh yeah, like I'm going to listen to Trump. He's not really trying to appeal to a really broad electorate when he tries to go after RFK. But what he's doing is he's framing him. That's the thing, because Trump is actually being really smart about this. Because you'd say, oh, well, him attacking RFK is not a good idea. But what's actually happening is he's kind of grouping Biden and RFK in the similar kind of mindset. Like he's basically like, it's almost like, oh, if Trump's talking bad about RFK, he must be liberal. So if there's a Democrat that's like not really liking Biden, but doesn't really like RFK, but they don't like Biden more than RFK, if they see Trump talking crap about RFK, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna just vote RFK, and that ends up hurting Biden in the long run. So Trump's actually playing it really smart when he's doing that. But what we're gonna do for now is we're gonna look at the electoral map based out of this poll. And we're also going to look at we're also going to look at what is it called? We're going to look at the Senate polls, because I am going to do a video of the Senate elections based on the polls, which is actually a really interesting video because there's a lot of polls all over the place. Donald Trump, what's actually quite funny in this poll is Trump has a net 4% favorable rating in this poll. He has a net 4% favorability rating in this poll. He's actually up 4% nationwide in this poll. He's slightly less popular than Musk, but he actually has the highest favorability rating out of everybody on the list. So even though his net approval is not the highest, his favorability number is actually the highest. So unlike most people want you to believe, Trump is actually one of the most popular politicians right now. According to this poll, I mean, he's beating everybody. Clinton right now, the only reason why she's -8 only is because she's not in the picture. But if Trump at a +4 net favorability rating was going against -8 Clinton, he'd beat her by a lot. Like, he would really beat her by a lot, actually. And the Democratic Party approval has gone down. Republican approval has gone down quite significantly as well. And so we're going to see this. 55% of voters approve of Trump's presidency in office, a majority according to this poll. And if we look at Biden, he's sitting at about 44% according to this poll. And I'm actually trying to see what his like complete support is. If we could see here, he's sitting at about 44, and his disapproval is sitting at about, let's see. So he's sitting at about, let's see what it says. 12 plus 41. He's sitting at about 53. So his net favorability in this poll is -9. So we're going to kind of play around those metrics. So theoretically, right now, the RCP aggregate has Trump up by 1.6. So if you plug that in here, it swings the popular vote 6.10% to the right. And if we plug that approval rating in, so if he's down -9, which doesn't even change a lot. It actually barely changes anything. It only makes these states go down like a point. It's not even that big of a difference. But let's say we're going to match the approval rating to the poll. And let's say Trump is leading by 6. That's a popular vote change of 7.5 points. So let's say that's the case. And actually, I think it's bigger than that, actually. I think that, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I just got to change this. So 4.5 plus 6 is 10.5. So let's say this is the hypothetical scenario, right? And we're going to go state by state here. So pretty much Alabama would go safe for Trump. I mean, that wouldn't really be a problem for him. We'd have, Alaska is a 20-point win. Arizona is in the safe column. Guys, I am using plus 10 again for the margin. So, like, Trump, if someone's up in a state by 10 points, I am going to classify it as safe. I know I switched to plus 15 a while back, but I kind of realized that plus 10 is a little bit better because if you look at it, really think about it, a lot of times when somebody wins a state by over 10 points, it's really considered not to be competitive. And so because of that fact alone, I am going to start marking them down as safe for either party. So that's just what I'm going to be doing from now on. And so if we keep going, Wellston, first time I've called you live. You were doing fine work. Can't stay long. Just want to give you a compliment. Well, thank you very much, Wellston. I appreciate that. Arkansas is at 38 or 39-point win. California is right at the 16-point victory. If we look at Colorado, Biden's actually down, or he's only winning it by 3 points. Connecticut and Delaware are 9 and 8-point victories respectively for Biden. Biden's up in District of Columbia. Thank you, Say Watt, for the super chat. I actually really appreciate that. Thank you very much for the 10. Thank you. And if we look at this, if we keep going, you'll see that, Florida, 16-point win. Georgia is an 11-point win. So they're both in the safe column. If we look at, Hawaii, it's still in the safe category, but it's actually under 15, which is pretty interesting. Idaho is a 41-point victory. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to pull up the 2020 map so we can kind of compare what this looks like. And I actually have my margin set to 10 plus safe, so we'll be able to compare it a little bit more accurately. You'll see South Carolina safe, Kansas is safe on the map, and Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia are both safe since they're over 10-point victories, for example. And so if we keep looking here, you're going to see that, Biden is doing well in Colorado there, but clearly he is doing significantly worse in Colorado compared to last cycle. Georgia was a tilt blue state on the map here. Now it's not even close to that margin anymore. Nebraska at large would probably end up being all Republican. If we go to, let's see here, we keep going, Illinois is right under the 5-point victory. It is about a lean margin, but barely under there. Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, all these states are basically going to end up being, Republican stronghold states for the most part, and Louisiana as well. If we look at Maine, Trump is winning this by safe margin. Biden is still up by 10 points in Maine's first, though, and Trump is actually winning in Maine by about a lean margin, which is also pretty good as well. If we were to look at this too, we can see that Home says, hi, folks. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for the stream. Well, I greatly appreciate your support. Either way, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you could kind of stay up to today. I do post every single day, so you guys will be getting updates from me pretty much all of the time. And so just hit the subscribe button if you don't mind. I'm thinking that CNN poll is an outlier. Gotta have some more polls saying something before I take it seriously. Well, even if you plug it in here as a hypothetical scenario, even if I plug in the RCP aggregate and I estimate where Trump's gonna win the popular vote at, he would still win the electoral college. He would actually still win the election. So even then, Biden wouldn't even be able to win either. And yeah, you see, the thing is that, yes, it is an outlier theoretically, but right now we just got a Harvard-Harris poll with Trump up by 6. So if, we keep getting more polls in the range of Trump plus 4 to Trump plus 8 or 9, I mean, it's not going to be an outlier anymore. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if it does, then we kind of have to start treating these a little bit more differently than you would originally, the national environment might be changing by quite a bit. I don't think he's up 10 points, but if the polls keep showing more than 5-point victory of margin for him in every single poll that comes out now, then he might be. But as of right now, it's too early to say that. It's just very surprising that CNN had Biden up 16 points, guys. You got to think about how bad this is. They had him up 16 points the month before the election. Their October poll had Biden up 16 points, and Biden won the popular vote by 4. and barely won the electoral college. So if Trump's up by 9, what is that going to say about the CNN? What does that tell you? Like, clearly we can't assume Trump's going to win, based off of that one singular poll alone, but clearly he is not DOA like some people claim to say, and he's definitely not only is he not DOA, he's definitely the major favorite right now. He's definitely the major favorite. I've been saying this right now. Biden is DOA. I think right now he's totally DOA. And I even said that after the TikTok ban, the polling was going to start shifting in Trump's direction. I said that, and it kind of has been. Now, if there's a one-to-one correlation about that, we can make a discussion. And if they actually release their exit, if they release their crosstabs and we see that the young vote is causing this surge, then I could totally be vindicated on that alone. But before we get into that, we're definitely going to be, keep looking at this. Maryland and Massachusetts are still safe margins, for the incumbent president. It doesn't seem like that's going to change. Michigan is a likely state. It's an 8-point victory on here so far. Minnesota is a lean margin of victory for Trump, so he's winning that quite easily. Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, all of these states are going to be safe Republican on the map. If we go to Nebraska at large, he's winning Nebraska at large by 26 points, and he's currently winning Nebraska second by 4.5. And so that is, definitely a major improvement from 2020 since Biden won it by 6.6%, at that point in time. If we look, at Missouri, okay, we're going to keep going down. Nevada, 11-point victory for Trump, what's actually quite funny, guys, is that the polling averages are not even that. If you look at Nevada, guys, Biden is up there by 7.5, or Trump's up there by 7.5 points. If the polls, there's a margin of error of, plus or minus 3. So if Trump is really down by, that much, then guys, I mean, I don't know what to say, but clearly he would be doing fairly well. I honestly, I don't know. It's not looking good for Biden at all. It's really not. It's looking very, very bad for him. If we go to, New Hampshire, that's a lean margin of victory for Trump. If we go to New Jersey, it's a lean margin of victory for Biden, and New Mexico ends up flipping to Trump in this case as well. If we end up keep going down, New York is still safe. It's right over the 10-point margin of victory as of right now. If we go to North Carolina, it is a safe margin as well. And if we go to North Dakota, it's a 45-point win, which is a major improvement from the 33-point victory Trump had in 2020. And if we keep looking at this, guys, North Dakota, safe. Ohio, it's a 19-point win. These are not even in the question. Iowa and Ohio in this scenario are not even, there are foregone conclusions for Republicans at that point. Oklahoma is a massive victory for Trump in this scenario. Pennsylvania, or actually Oregon first, would be a likely margin. I did see that Washington does fall under the safe category. It goes to the likely column. And if you go to Pennsylvania, Biden is barely, or at least Trump is barely losing it, he's not losing it, but it's right under the 10-point margin. Rhode Island falls under the 10-point margin. Vermont would more than likely be safe. And we keep going, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, all these states, are basically going to go safe. And the next state should be Texas, which is an 18-point win. Wyoming, Utah, Indiana, West Virginia, those should all be safe. Virginia, Trump's actually up there by like 1.1%, which is similar to Youngkin's victory. And Wisconsin is almost safe in the Republican column. So in this scenario, Trump ends up winning 347 electoral votes to Joe Biden's 191 electoral votes. So it would be a very easy election defeat for Biden. Biden would end up losing pretty badly here. And so that's definitely, what the poll is showing right now. And Trump is massively, down, or Trump is massively up, excuse me. I meant to say Biden is massively down in this electoral college scenario. And so this is the map according to that Harvard-Harris poll using my model. If we were to kind of look at what I have right now, this would obviously be, this is the actual poll rating on RCP for Biden is 1.6. plus for Trump in the aggregate, and he's down minus 15.9. And if we look here, I'd say the popular vote is probably like, I'd say Trump probably wins it by half a point, which is exactly a 4-point shift to the right compared to 2020. So if we were to go ahead and actually fill that out, Trump actually does quite well still. He still ends up doing fairly well in this scenario. He, is up, I'd say presumably he's up, in the red states by quite a bit. He's probably doing good here. I'd say he's winning Ohio and Iowa by safe margins. Florida and Texas are going to be safe as well. He's doing pretty good there. I'd say that, California, Oregon, Washington are safe. I'd say all of these states more than likely would still end up 10 points. I think New Jersey would fall under. I think New York is safe. This would be safe. This would be safe. And I think Illinois is probably above a 10-point victory, if we can confirm that. Actually, it is not above a 10-point victory, so even Illinois would fall under. Colorado is a 7-point win for Biden in this scenario. Nebraska at large would basically be safe. Alaska would be safe. Hawaii would be safe, Democratic. And we kind of come to some of the swing states here. We see Arizona first. It's a 6.6 percentage point victory for Trump. If we were to keep going down to Georgia, 6.9 percentage point victory, it basically rounds out to a 7-point win in the Electoral College. And if we were to keep going, we could see we keep going down. Maine at large is actually barely in the Biden column. It's right under a point. It actually ends up going tilt for Biden in this scenario. Michigan is a likely margin of victory. Minnesota, as you could see there, was actually a tilt margin. It is a 0.8 percentage point margin of victory for Biden, so it's really, really close. If we keep going, we'll see Nebraska second tilts into Trump's column in this case as well. And if we keep going down, we'll see Nevada, a 7-point victory for Trump. Very, very easy win there. New Hampshire is still a lean margin for Biden. If we go to New Jersey, it's a 7-point win. New Mexico, it's a lean margin of victory for the incumbent president. If we go down, Virginia is a 2.9 percentage point victory. North Carolina presumably would end up being a likely state. And I'd assume the same thing for Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, which I was correct. So even if we plug in the, basically the RCP aggregate, and we have the estimated popular vote, which is what I think would probably end up happening in the shift there, Trump still wins the Electoral College fairly easily. He'd still win the election pretty easily. He'd win with 313 to 225, which is one extra electoral vote than what I gave him in the last election, or the last video, but Trump ends up winning all the swing states very easily. He wins all of them by over 5 points in Minnesota, and Maine at large at that point would be in contention. He might even be able to win those because there might be a relative margin of room for error there per se. So that is definitely something to account for as well. So that's basically it for that. Now, by the way, guys, I did want to announce this, but I am actually doing a documentary style kind of video. It's going to be about 16 minutes long, and it's basically kind of like a formatted essay on why Trump's going to win 2024, and it's more of like a formatted scripted video, and there's going to be visuals and stuff like that and whatnot, and I'm probably going to end up premiering it since it is going to be a video. I am going to have somebody edit it, and they're gonna kind of like add a bunch of visuals, make it really cool and stuff. Like, it'll be the first properly formatted video on the channel. So if you guys are interested about that, if you guys are excited about that, I do want to actually poll you guys. Are you guys excited for a proper formatted video for the first time on the channel? I actually want to pull this just to see. I just kind of want to put it out there because I kind of want to have like something on a portfolio type thing. So if like, I ever get an opportunity with somebody political, I could say, oh, look, I have my channel, and that video would kind of be my main reference. And I think I might be doing more of that kind of content, as time goes on, especially if I do actually end up getting an editor. I will more than likely end up kind of doing content like that. So it seems like chat so far, very overwhelmingly, it's only 7 votes. So I'm going to kind of let that simmer there. But it clearly seems like the majority of people are pretty happy about that. I'm assuming one person voted no on on that, and it seems like that's going to keep being the case. It seems like literally one person is not excited about that overall. So it seems like a majority of you guys are pretty excited that there is going to end up being a poll there. Guys, if you guys are new, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We are literally 9 subscribers away from 8.5k, so if we can go ahead and, you know, just anybody that's new in here, just subscribe so we can at least get to 8.5k today, I would greatly appreciate that. And it seems like, yeah, it's 16 votes came in, and it seems like chat is very overwhelmingly, you know, excited about a documentary style video, so that's good to know. That means that the audience retention will be pretty good on that video for the most part, so I expect that video to do relatively well as well. So this is what the electoral map's looking like based out of the RCP and my estimated popular vote. But if we go to the Senate polls, what's actually quite funny is that the Senate polls look super out of whack. Like, the polling here looks really weird. I'll literally just go based on the latest poll in every single state, so that's what I'll do for this. And I'm actually going to do a video on this tomorrow anyway as well. I'm going to end up doing a video on this. But what I'm actually going to do for now is I'm actually going to hide my face cam, because I am seeing that it is kind of getting in the way with this. So I am going to hide both of these, and I will turn them back on in a second. But this is currently what the Senate map's looking like. Republicans are extremely favored. They really, with their base states, they basically get there with the base states, with West Virginia basically being at like an auto pickup. They basically get there automatically. So I don't really think that's going to be an issue, you know, for them. First of all, if we look at the first poll, you know, Brait's leading by 30 points. She was the one who gave the student, I think it was the, oh, well, actually, that's a 2022 poll. I don't know why I looked at that. In Alaska, the same thing. The first state on here that actually has a poll from here is 2024. And it's Arizona, and by Gallego, excuse me, guys, Gallego's up by 5 here. If we look at Arkansas, I don't think there's a poll out of here. California does have a poll. The latest poll currently has Schiff up by 24 points against Garvey. I know Garvey is a pretty good candidate. However, I don't necessarily think that it's going to end up really becoming a sort of type of thing, if that makes sense. I don't really think that's going to end up becoming anything per se. I don't think that's going to really get competitive, to be honest, guys. I think that's a very fool's gold for the Senate. If you look at Connecticut, there is no polling data, but I'm going to put it in the safe column just for now. And Delaware, there really is nothing except for a primary, so I am going to be putting it safe as well, to be honest. Florida, Scott's up by 17 points in the latest poll, so that looks like, you know, based out of the latest poll, it looks like it's going to be safe there. If we go to Georgia, that is, you know, a 2022 state. Idaho, basically the same thing. Indiana, well, actually, yeah, Illinois, I believe, doesn't have one either. I know Indiana does, and there's one poll, and Banks is up against McRae by 10 points, which puts him in the likely column in this scenario. Actually, that actually puts him in the safe column. Never mind, since I am using a plus 10 as a safe margin, actually barely puts him in the safe column there. Iowa, there is no state. If we look at Kansas, there is also no state as well. Kentucky presumably does not have one either. Louisiana, I believe, does not have one. Maine technically does have one. I think it's Angus King is resigning the seat, and even though he's an independent, I am going to put it as safe because he does caucus with the Democrats, and he is a pretty good candidate for Maine. First of all, like, he tends to do very well there, so I am going to actually put that in the safe Democratic column there. If we look at Maryland, this is an interesting one because Hogan is leading here by 18, and more than likely, I think Trone is going to be the Democratic candidate, if I'm not mistaken, based out of the polling out of the primaries. It could end up changing, as I think Trone got himself into some trouble, but based out of the latest poll, Hogan's actually up by a safe margin in Maryland, so that's actually pretty crazy. Safe R Maryland. That is pretty insane. If we look at Massachusetts, we can see that Kraft is losing to Warren by 23 points, which is still an underperformance for her. I mean, if we go back to 2018, I'm sure Warren won by more than that. They had to have won by more than that. You see, yeah, look. Oh, well, actually, that's actually right around where Warren ended up winning by. But I feel like, you know, down ballot support is going to get better. Even this poll from July had Warren up only by like 13, which isn't good either. And even Baker was supposed to run for Senate, and he was up by 15 points, which would have been an interesting GOP pickup, but it's okay. And if we keep going here, we'll see that in Michigan, we have the latest poll where from March 14th, which is still quite a while ago, actually. They need to do new polling here. Oh, okay, all right. So we do have new polling out of here. All right, we do have new polling. I don't know why I didn't do the added. It seems like Rogers is expected to win the primary. Slotkin's expected, and Slotkin and Rogers are basically tied. So I'm actually going to leave that as a toss-up since it is tied. I will leave that up as a toss-up. If we look at Minnesota, Klobuchar's up by 17, so that puts her in the safe column. Mississippi, I think it does not have they don't have a poll out of 2020, but based out of my assumption, I'd say that that's probably a safe Republican state just because, you know, it is a very heavily Republican state, and I don't really expect it to vote otherwise. You know, the Cycle Hawley is up by 14. That puts him in the safe column here. If you go to Montana, she's actually up by 3 in the latest poll, so that actually is a pickup for Republicans, which is pretty good. Now, Nebraska is interesting because there was a November poll that has Osborne up by 2, and he's the independent candidate. And since I am doing this based out of the latest polls, the problem with Osborne is I don't know if he's a Democrat or not, but for the sake of the video, I am going to have to put this leaning Democrat, and I'm going to put the special election in the safe red column, even though it is an independent. Usually when candidates run independent, they tend to caucus with the Democrats, as we've seen. And so for the sake of the video, I am going to put this in the lean Democratic column. I know it's super weird to see Nebraska as lean, but it is going to be for the sake of the video. So that's that. If we go to Nevada, Sam Brown is only down by 2 points in Nevada, so that is a lean margin for Rosen in that election there, and Brown seems to be up heavily in the Republican primary. Even here, he's leading by 13. He's leading here by 15. And May 15th, there was a poll that had this candidate up without Brown in the race for some reason. So, and Laxalt was included as well. So that was a weird poll, but in all the polls that Brown's been included in, he's up, and Rosen's the incumbent. So that will more than likely be the matchup. But it seems like Nevada would end up going lean Democrat based out of the latest poll. New Hampshire, there seems to not be an election out of there now. This is interesting because we have Bob Menendez supposedly running third party, and this was a new poll out of April, and it seems like this candidate's up in the primary, even though the primary field is still very, very undecided. And so assuming this is the candidate, Kim would only be up by 6 points in New Jersey, so that might even be a competitive seat depending on how well Trump does nationwide. If you look at New Mexico, there is no new polling data, but I'm going to put it in the safe Democratic column just because Senate candidates tend to perform better here on the state level than on the national level per se. Like the Senate level, you know, tends to be a little bit skewing that way. Now, what's funny about New York is that they don't have polls here for 2024, but if we actually go and look up the Wikipedia New York Senate race, what's actually quite funny about this is that we have the incumbent Kristen Gillibrand, and what's actually quite funny about this is that if we look at, I believe, oh, that's weird. I thought I saw some polls about this that had it as like lean Dem or something like that, but I guess there is nothing here. So for the sake of the video, oh, actually, here it is. Let's show. So this is the interesting part. So for whatever reason, it showed there's one poll where Kristen Gilbert is running against Andrew Cuomo, I guess as an independent or something like that. I guess that's what it is, and she's only leading him by a couple of points. But for the sake of the video, we're going to put it safe Democrat. And I'm going to get Vermont out of the way. Bernie Sanders running for re-election. He'll probably end up winning that, no problem whatsoever. And if we go back to, 538 here, you're going to see North Carolina, I believe, does not have a Senate race. So North Dakota does actually have one, and Kramer is up by 26 points. That puts that in the safe Republican column there. And if we keep going down to Ohio, what's funny is that, Moreno, the primary did pretty much end already, but the latest poll from March has Brown up Moreno by 11, which actually puts Ohio in the safe Democratic column for this video, but it doesn't really matter, because even if you were to go strictly off the polls, if you look at this, Ohio and Maryland basically cancel each other out. They're basically trading Ohio for Maryland based out of the polls in this video, which is pretty interesting. And Nebraska is lean, Nevada's lean, but then Montana also gets flipped too. So Republicans more than likely end up taking the Senate either way. Oklahoma, there is no polling data out of this cycle, and there's not a Senate race either. Oregon, you can see here, there is no, I believe there is no race this year either. If we look at Pennsylvania, if you look at the polling, Casey's up by 17 points in the latest poll against McCormick. That puts the state in the safe Democratic column as well. And if we were to go to Rhode Island, there is no polling data out of there, but I'm going to put it safe Democratic, at least for right now. South Carolina, I believe there is no race there either. If we look at South Dakota, there is also no race. Tennessee does have a race, and Blackburn is up by 24 points, and it seems like Johnson's going to end up winning the primary as of right now. So actually, he's only up by 17 points. Seems like that candidate is a little bit better, but that still puts the state in the safe column either way. If we were to go to Texas, Cruz is up by 5 in the latest poll. That puts him in the likely category and puts Republicans very short of actually winning the Senate here. Utah does not have any general election polling, but we do have primary polls. Seems like Curtis is the favorite to win the primary as of right now. And so I'm going to put this as safe Republican just for the sake of the video. And if we go over here to Vermont, we're actually going to see that, you know, well, actually, this is 2022, so that's not going to be it. If we look at Virginia, Kane in the latest polls up by 5 against Youngkin. However, they have not polled Hung Kao. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to put it likely just because that is the latest poll out of there. And if we look at Washington, what's actually funny is Cantwell is only up against this candidate named Garcia by 8 points, which is very interesting, actually. And so that actually puts Washington in the likely Democratic column there. And if we look at Wisconsin, which is the last poll out of here, well, actually, not really. West Virginia, Justice seems to be up. You know, they haven't done general election polling in a really long time for some reason, but it seems here that he's beating Manchin by 12, but since Manchin's retiring, we could put that in the safe Republican column. Quite funny enough, if Manchin would have ran as an independent against Justice, the race would be a little bit closer, which is interesting, but it doesn't seem like that's going to end up being the case. It seems like Justice will end up pretty easily winning, and that ends up putting Republicans up in the Senate, actually, believe it or not. And if we look at Wisconsin, currently Wisconsin in the latest poll is actually, you know, a tied race there with likely voters. And so that puts Wisconsin and Michigan in the toss-up category for this video. And if we look at Wyoming, we could see that, you know, 30-point, you know, win in a 2020 poll. So that ends up going safe Republican probably. And if we go to Hawaii, we'll actually see here, if we go down to Hawaii here, we will see, where is it? I guess it's blanked out. Yep, it is blanked out. But for the sake of the video, it probably does go a safe Democrat. So that puts Republicans at 51 Senate seats to Democrats 47. If I had to guess, you know, I'd probably tilt these into the Democratic column just because the Democrat, you know, incumbent in Wisconsin's relatively strong for the most part. And Michigan, you know, the Republican Party here is recuperating, but it's definitely not where it needs to be for me to be like, okay, yeah, Rogers is probably favored. So as of right now, based out of the latest polls, the Republicans are at 51 Senate seats to 49 Democratic Senate seats as of right now. That's currently what we're looking at right here. And that is it for this part of the video. And what's actually quite funny about this is that, you know, it does look really wonky. You know, it does look super, super wonky, which is quite funny. However, my Senate prediction looks a lot different than that map. My Senate prediction, as of right now, we'd have all these states in the safe Republican column. And yes, I am filling in Montana as safe Republican, and so am I in West Virginia, so I am Ohio. The reason why I'm doing this is because I expect Sheehy and Moreno to basically win pretty easily. You can hear the plane in the background. Oh, my bad. But yeah, I expect them to win fairly easily. I think polling for the Senate, it's gonna really underestimate candidates. It's really going to underestimate them pretty badly, actually. I think it's not going to go over well for the Democrats here, to the point where I think they're both going to win their races by over 10 points. Maybe Ohio is under 10, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to put them there. If we go to California, I think that's safe. Washington is probably going to end up being safe. Delaware, all these are going to end up being safe, including Vermont. And Maine, I think maybe closer, just because I think Trump might get close to winning it nationwide. And so maybe it does end up being under 10, but that's just, that's not the point. It's probably going to be in the likely category. New Jersey, I'd expect to be likely, and I'd actually expect Maryland to fall under 10 points. I think it's going to be somewhat competitive for Maryland, just because Hogan's polling ridiculously well here. But I think for the most part, I think it's going to be a likely margin there. I think Hawaii is going to be safe. I think Texas probably ends up being safe. So is Florida, just because of the fact that I think Trump's going to end up doing pretty well in these states. Maybe Texas is under 10, but I think Florida is going to be above 10 points for Rick Scott. Ted probably wins this by about 8 or 9. Trump's probably going to win the state by like 13, 14 points as of right now, as of my analysis. New York, I actually expect it to be a likely Senate seat. I think it might fall under 10 points, just because Democrats as a whole are becoming very unpopular in New York, just in general, the party itself is. So I think in that case, I think it's going to end up being that. Minnesota, I actually think may end up getting a lot closer than people expect. I think this is going to be Klobuchar's closest election out of this cycle. Maybe it is above 5. Like, it'll probably be a 7 or 8 point victory for Klobuchar, but it's definitely going to be her closest race out of her entire career. I think Virginia ends up falling under 5. I think it's only a 2-point win for Kane. I think Hung Kao is a very strong Republican recruit for the Republicans, so I think in that regard, I think they end up doing pretty well. I think New Mexico is going to end up being likely for the Democrats, again, like I said, do better on the Senate level than on the presidential level on average, based off of my analysis. So I think that probably New Mexico ends up going that way. Now, Arizona, I actually expect Kari Lake to end up winning here by probably a point or two, more than likely. I think that's going to more than likely happen, just because of the fact that if Trump's really winning the state by a likely margin, he's probably going to end up winning. Kari Lake probably ends up getting carried in Arizona. Same thing for Nevada. That's more than likely where I'm sitting at with Nevada as well. Now, Pennsylvania, Bob Casey's a very strong incumbent, so I do actually think it'll probably go lean Democratic. Even if Trump ends up winning it by a likely margin, I still think that McCormick would lose. And even though Trump's been endorsed McCormick, I still think Bob Casey does pretty well there. However, it is a lot closer than what I've had it at before. Wisconsin, I think Eric Hovde might end up pulling out the victory there. He might actually be able to narrowly pull out the win there. I think he might be able to do it. I think Tammy Baldwin is, even though for Wisconsin she's pretty strong, I think overall she's a very, overestimated candidate. And so I do think she'll probably end up barely losing this race. And I think Michigan, the same thing might happen. I mean, if Trump's really winning Michigan by over 5, I think the Democrats definitely not going to be holding on here, especially that it's an open seat and Rogers seems to be pretty decent. So right now, this is where my Senate predictions at. Republicans at 56 seats to Democrats 44 seats. So that's practically what I'm looking at right now. Now, what I am going to do is I'm actually going to pull the chat and see what you guys want me to do next. And I am going to have to leave after this. But what do you want me to do next? House prediction, 2028 scenarios. We'll do, let's see, what else would there be to do, actually? 2024 analysis. And actually, we could do alternate election history as another option as well. So I am actually going to be putting these up as options here, so you guys can go ahead and vote on that. Alternate election history would basically be like we can go back to like a certain year and pretty much kind of look and see what that would have ended up looking like. So you guys can go ahead and vote on that, and we'll kind of gauge what chat pretty much wants here. It seems like 2028 scenario is getting a plurality of the vote here. House prediction just took the lead right now. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit, but guys, if you guys are new here, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below. I would greatly appreciate it. I see that we are almost at 8.5K, so we can get to 8.5K in the stream. I would greatly appreciate it. It would be really awesome if we could get to 8.5K in this stream as well. And so looking at this, we can see Okay, so I guess, well, I'm gonna let the poll go for a little bit more because there is 80 people watching and only 18 people have voted. So I am gonna let this go for a little bit more. It does seem that we're about to reach 1K views on the stream, so that is pretty awesome. You know, for the most part, that is really, really good. As of right now. So let's see something. All right, well, guys, give me 1 second because I did get a call from somebody. I am gonna have to pick this up really quick. So all right, guys. So what I'm gonna do here is, okay, so house prediction. All right, so that clearly seems to be what most people want here. So I am gonna go to the house really quick. I'm gonna do this relatively quickly because I do have to be getting pretty soon. I do have to be get going pretty soon though. So, and my computer actually is kind of running out of battery, so I'm gonna have to do this fairly quick. But all right, I'm gonna have to do this fairly quick. We are literally 3 subscribers away from 8.5. I hate scams, bro. So annoying. I hate scams, bro. I really do. Bro, I hate scams, bro. They're so annoying. You ever have like these random people just kind of like add you on Snapchat for like no reason? They like, I don't know, man, it's just weird. Ugh. I don't know, man. It's kind of strange. Um, I sound quieter. Well, oh, is it? I might not have. Oh, I think it's. Oh, I know why. Yeah. Okay. Damn. I guess when you said it. Oh, that kind of sucks. All right. Well, hold on. Wait. There we go. I should be a lot louder now. So I should be fairly louder now, actually. I could see DeSantis running in 2020 with Josh Hawley being the VP. I think that's definitely possible. All right, guys. So, and yes, Snapchat does still exist. It does. We are one subscriber away from 8.5. So if there's anybody new in here, you could just end up going ahead and subscribing if you can. I would appreciate it. We're literally about to hit it. We're almost there. So, Mary Patola, the thing is, if Trump's really winning Alaska by like 15 points, I can't see her winning. I think it's going to be too much of a divergence there. I think Arizona, if Trump's really winning by over 5 points, this seat's going. If Trump is getting California down to, actually, you know what? We'll even just pull up the Google. We'll pull up the Google sheet. We'll literally just pull it up right now, so we can kind of look at this. But yeah, no, this is not a good look at all, actually. For him, this is not good at all. Arizona, yeah, no, look, 6.5%. And if California is only a 20-point win, well, then it kind of depends, because it's definitely less, you know, and Republicans gain seats that year. And this district's definitely going to get closer, and that Republican's the first one. So I'd say that Republican might hold on. California's 22nd. I'd say they might even hold on. Mark Garcia is definitely going to hold on. Probably going to be over 5 points, to be honest. Those probably hold on. Katie Porter, I think, might hold on. I think she probably does. Oh, well, whatever the C is, I think the Democrats are probably going to hold it. I think that, yeah, I'd say this is fairly reasonable. I think that district's probably going to go Republican. It may even go likely. It depends. Colorado's 8th. I think is going to end up probably going R, just because this district was too close in 2022, and the district was pretty close on the national level. So I think it does go Republican. If we keep going down, Iowa's 3rd. That's going to be a likely district. If Trump's really winning Iowa by what I have it at, which is a 16-point victory, that's definitely going to be a likely district for sure. If we go to Illinois 17th, I'd say that this might even flip Republican. It really depends, because, again, I'm kind of going off my projection. If Illinois ends up voting as like an 8-point win or something like that for Biden, around that range, that this district may end up going lean R or end up flipping, but maybe it's lean Democratic for now at least. Jared Golden is in Maine 2nd. I'd say that he might go down just because Trump is expected, according to my model, to be winning Maine 2nd by like quite a bit, actually. He's actually up here by 18 points, and I literally cannot see it voting like that. Like, that'd be really weird to see it like that. That wouldn't really make sense. Michigan 7th. Alyssa Slotkin is running for U.S. Senate, and she won this district by a lot, but the district on the presidential level is really close. So I'd say they probably flips, and one of the only reasons why she might have done really well here is because she was the incumbent. She probably was favorable in the district, but I think Trump's probably going to end up winning this district nationally, so I think the Republican probably does end up running, especially since it's an open seat. Dan Kield is not running for re-election, and it's a 2-point district on the presidential level. I'd say it might flip. I think it might end up flipping, actually, based out of that assumption alone. North Carolina's 1st is mostly a right trending district, so I think it does go Republican almost no matter what, especially if Trump's going to almost win the district by 10 or win the state by 10 almost, or even over that. It probably does end up going likely or even. Don Bacon, I'd say that it's close, but he probably does hold on because Trump right now is expected to win it in the model. So I think if the district voted by this much Democrat back then and Republicans, he was able to win it by a lean margin in 2022, I'd say he probably does hold on. Tom Keene, I think he might hold on. I think Trump's going to make gains in New Jersey, and I think he might be able to hold on in the House. I think this candidate might be an issue Nebraska second might be a problem because he barely won in 2022, and New Mexico's expected to get way closer. So this might end up being a little bit finicky, but I'd say maybe he holds on for now. Anthony Despacito, I think that's going to go lean. This is going to go lean. Or Trump's going to make massive gains in New York, and all these districts are going to get closer more than likely. So I think they'll probably end up going Republican. I think that same thing here. It's a really close district as well. Ohio's 9th. I'd say this one's weird, but I'd say it probably just go Democrat. She did win this by a lot, and it's a leaning R district. And even if Trump is expected to win the state by 16.6 points, I'd say she might barely hold on. Emily Skies, I think she definitely loses. The district voted for her decently as an incumbent in 2022, and not as an incumbent, but as a new person, she won by 5. The districts only lean on the presidential level, and there's going to be a big shift in Ohio, so probably goes lean R. If you look at Oregon's 5th, I think this is definitely going to be a hold just because Trump's going to make gains statewide, and she won relatively decently in a midterm year where Republicans were very underwhelming for the most part. So I do think she'll do pretty good there. PA 7th, I think, is definitely going to be a Republican flip. If Trump's winning Pennsylvania by, let's look at the map here. He's winning it by 6.4%. There is literally almost no chance that seat stays there. Same thing with this. There's no chance that seat's going to stay there. And the last, kind of open seat, you have this seat, which probably ends up being likely Republican at this point. PA 17th probably ends up going Democrat. Texas, Vicente Gonzalez probably does stay Democratic more than likely. Jen Kiggins probably ends up winning in Virginia. Probably holds on. I think Abley Spagenberger probably ends up, that seat may end up going lean Democratic. Washington's 3rd, I think, is going to end up going a Republican. It was a really close district in 2022 when Democrats did good, and it's a leaning R district, and Trump's probably going to make this an 8-point district in 2024, and I'd expect this to be a likely seat as well. I don't really think that's going to be that hard. And so that actually puts Republicans at 231 House seats to 204. Now, I know this is a pretty generous, map for Republicans for the House, but I think if Trump's really winning the popular vote by, half a point, and he's winning these states by that much, he probably does end up winning. The House ends up probably going for him pretty convincingly. I think he'd actually gain seats in the House if he's really winning the national popular vote, because a lot of people, a lot of lower propensity voters would more than likely end up showing out for this. And so this is what I kind of have the map looking like as of right now. 231 Republicans in the House to 204. And so that's pretty much it, guys. I am going to end the stream right here. It has been a little bit over an hour, and it's going to get pretty dark out here now. So if you guys did enjoy the video, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure if you are new in here, please subscribe. I saw we just hit 8.5K subscribers. So we are at the halfway mark of 9,000 subs, and then we're only going to be 1,000 subscribers away from 10,000. Now, depending on how the documentary video does, that might end up kind of swaying how the channel does, because if that video ends up doing pretty well, then it might end up catapulting me to 10K depending on how good it does, because I do have it scripted. I have all the audio recorded already. I just have to get all the stock footage together. I have to get all the screenshots of everything together, and I kind of have to start looking at, how we're going to edit this thing. But I literally have an entire script that I had to read off of, and I literally go over a bunch of data that I researched. It's not even me. I mean, it is sort of an opinion piece, but I actually back it up with as much data and, supporting evidence as I mostly can to show that I am trying to be as genuine as possible when it comes to me characterizing this. I even talk about Trump's political indictments, and I also talk about New York as well. I think that's something I touch it on very briefly at the end. But that's basically it for the script. It's like all the audio adds up to like 16 minutes or so. So guys, if you guys are new, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, make sure to turn on the bell so you get notifications for more streams like this. I will be doing videos on the House, my Senate predictions. So everything that I just covered now, I'm going to be doing videos on it. So make sure to please still watch those. So if you guys did enjoy this, please hit the like button, subscribe, make sure to follow Twitter, join the Discord, hit the bell, and I will see you guys very, very soon.